Ever since the Clippers made the blockbuster deal for James Harden, they are 0-4 with their most recent loss coming to the previously 1-8 Memphis Grizzlies. There's obviously a lot wrong with this roster right now, and James Harden seems to be the common denominator in a lot of these issues. Before James Harden's debut, they were 3-2 and a couple of shots away from being 5-0. Kawhi and Paul George had looked good, and Russell Westbrook's game was just starting to click. But ever since then, their offenses looked clunky, inefficient, and downright sloppy. Kawhi Leonard seems to be the odd man out among their big three, and his shot attempts have gone down significantly since Harden's debut. Russell Westbrook has also gotten a lot less touches, and despite his stats looking solid, sitting at 14.7 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 6 assists a game on 47% shooting, he's been involved a lot less on offense and hasn't been able to impact games nearly as much as he had before. He had been that spark plug, whether he was off the bench or in the starting lineup, and he was able to provide a lot of the things that the Clippers needed in terms of a point guard, and he had been playmaking at a high level and playing with a lot of intensity and passion, similar to how Paul George and Kawhi Leonard play. And he was an ideal point guard in this system, but as soon as James Harden has come, he has had to take a backseat to Harden, and this has taken a step back for the team's offense. And we're starting to see that Russell Westbrook may have been more effective in this system than James Harden is. Never mind the fact that Harden has been a better player for the past couple of years. Russell Westbrook fits the system a lot better than Harden does, even though Harden says that he is a system by himself. Looking at Harden's game throughout the first 4 games of his Clippers tenure, he's played very poorly, averaging 13.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists per game on solid but not great efficiencies. He has struggled from the field at times, and in this last game against Memphis, he had a sequence on the same possession where he airballed a 3, got the rebound off a tip, and then got blocked on an ill-advised shot while being double-teamed and having teammates open. He hasn't found a way to fit into the offense, and this looks bad, especially after saying that instead of playing within a system, he is a system. This quote-unquote James Harden system has obviously not worked, and hasn't worked in a few years. He is not the James Harden we saw in Houston at the peak of his powers, or even the James Harden we saw in Philadelphia or Brooklyn. Even last year, he averaged 21 points a game and led the league in assists with 10.7 a game. He has not looked nearly that good this year and has had multiple all-star teammates around him. The trio of Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George have looked really good early on in the season, but with the addition of James Harden, all three have had to take a step back and try to accommodate Harden's playstyle. At this point, we have to start questioning the Clippers front office and what they were thinking adding another star player into the mix, especially a guy like James Harden who needs the ball a lot when you already have 3 guys who can score the ball efficiently and effectively. On top of all of that, all 3 of the Clippers' previous big 3 can defend miles ahead of Harden's defensive capabilities. When healthy, the Clippers were contenders in the West and one of the more well-rounded teams in the league. But while Harden is another big name on the team, he isn't an ideal fit along Kawhi or Paul George, and even Russell Westbrook for that matter. This season, Russ has thoroughly outplayed Harden in the 4 games they've had together, and you cannot tell me that James Harden isn't the problem in LA right now. This team should in no way be 0-4 in their last 4, especially with their opponents in these 4 games. The James Harden trade looks really bad on the Clippers management, and James Harden is continuing his reputation as a team wrecker. On that note, I feel obligated to note that wherever Harden has gone, he hasn't seemed to elevate his teams to playoff success. While his teammates in Kawhi and Paul George have put their teams on their back and carried teams to deep playoff runs, and in Kawhi's case, championships, Harden has always shrunk the lowest when the lights get the brightest. LA has actually 2 of the more clutch playoff performers in Kawhi and Paul George, but adding James Harden doesn't even make sense in terms of playoff success. Harden needs the ball above all else, even when he isn't the best scorer on the team. If he wants to take away touches from PG and Kawhi, this is going to cause problems down the road in the playoffs, because I've seen it time and time again where he has shot his team out of games, and if he continues to take bad shots in the clutch instead of deferring to teammates who are having better games, this team will not perform up to expectations. There are times where Harden will be shooting poorly from the field, and even in times past with Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving or Joel Embiid, even Chris Paul when he was there in Houston, he's had the audacity to continue to shoot the ball when he is slumping hard and his teammate is having a good game. This last year, he did facilitate a lot more for Joel Embiid, but in the playoffs, even against Boston, in that Game 7, he continued to shoot the ball when he should have been setting up his teammates and looking for the pass instead of the shot a lot more because of how much he was struggling from the field. And this has led to a lot of disappointing years in Houston, in Brooklyn, and most recently in Philadelphia. And I don't see this union working well with Harden alongside Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, even Russell Westbrook included in that. And I'm a big fan of actually Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George, and I love the three of them. And I think that when they are healthy, they are definitely one of the top teams in the league. And I think that this was the year that they possibly could have got it all together and really started to succeed as a team. So to see the management not just let it ride out is very frustrating and discouraging for me, because at the end of last year, when Russell Westbrook came to the Clippers, and even in the playoff series they had against Phoenix, they looked really good. Russell Westbrook was the key to this franchise, and while he wasn't the biggest name or the highest scorer or the best playmaker even on the team, he just had this energy about him where he was the perfect fit alongside Kawhi and Paul George. And now you bring in a guy in James Harden that is less than ideal of a fit. I would even call him a terrible fit beside these two guys. His play style does not match theirs at all. He does not play defense for the life of him, and he doesn't show up in the playoffs. And to look at this roster, they don't necessarily need a lot of stars. My personal opinion is that even you could put all the stars in the league together and it doesn't necessarily translate to wins. You could have an assortment of 5 all-stars on a team and they don't necessarily play cohesively or in tandem with each other. You could put a guy like Harden with, for example, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Oh wait, that already happened. And they didn't succeed. Somewhat because of injuries, but also because of the fact that James Harden did not play it well as a second option to Kevin Durant, or sometimes even a third option when Kyrie Irving was having a good game. So to see them as the Clippers put Harden together with 2 other stars doesn't really sit well with me, because at a certain point, you have to let the success of late last season and early this season ride out with Russell Westbrook as your point guard and primary ball handler. And we've seen the games where Paul George will take over a game on good efficiency. Kawhi Leonard will take over a game on good efficiency. Russell Westbrook will even distribute the ball and score maybe 22 points on 50% shooting this year. And he's even shooting above 33% from the three-point line, which is above average for him throughout his career. All 3 of these players were playing at the best of their abilities to begin this season, and I was really excited to see where they could go. But with the James Harden trade, they've seemingly fallen off a cliff and have no sense of cohesiveness or unity as a team. So it's very frustrating to watch, as their offense is very clunky. Their defense still has been pretty solid, and I've seen a lot of flashes of the defensive greatness of Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard. But offensively, having James Harden out there and trying to fit him into the offense and give him shots alongside the other guys who need shots has been very rattling to see, because it has just not worked. And I'm honestly thinking that they might have to send James Harden to the bench going forward. I have no hope in this team if James Harden is the primary ball handler or primary scorer on this team. And I really want to see Tyronn Lue, who is a very smart coach, I'll give him credit for that. I want to see him make a decision to put James Harden on the bench and allow the 3 guys who were there before, and Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George, be the starters and the motor of this team as they were before, and as I believe that they can be, to win a championship. James Harden, at this point in his career, is not the superstar he was before, and I don't think he's the piece that the Clippers needed right now. But now what's done is done, and you have to make it work as the Clippers. So I think that if someone has to go to the bench out of this quote-unquote big 4, or the fabulous 4, whatever you want to call it, I think it has to be James Harden. And that might be a stroke to his ego, but honestly, I think it has to happen. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. God bless you all. I hope you have an amazing day. And make sure to subscribe to the channel, because I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers by Christmas, which is about a month away. God bless.